Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2022 John Deere Classic. This is my picks show, and also I'm going to give you my one and done. This is where we go through all the analysis on the player field, at least from the most expensive down to around 7,000. Going to give you my top 15 picks from a DFS perspective, mostly focused on not so much cash game, but I think you could use them all. A little more focused on the larger GPP tournaments, so that's the multi-entry up to 150. And then, like I said, I'll do a little analysis for you on the one and done and give you who I'm looking at. And with that said, thank you for stopping by. Let's go do some analysis and find out who we want to play out of this amazing field we got for the John Deere. So let's go talk some golf. Okay, so if you missed my preview show, as always, I give you the stroke gain categories that I am focusing on, who I think you need to do very well to be successful here. So how do you win the John Deere is what I call it. And from a stroke gain analysis side, I think you still need to be a good ball striker with a strong emphasis on approach. You have to hit the fairways. We don't need distance. We just need fairways. It doesn't matter if you hit driver, 3-wood, hybrid, 3-iron, 4-iron, whatever you got. Just hit the fairways. They are narrow. There is trees, sand. And then it really is a bit of a putting contest, but it's so hard for us to figure out who is going to have that hot putter like Lucas Glover did last year. For a Lucas Glover, you put his ball striking together with gaining 3 or 4 strokes with the putter, he's going to win some tournaments, especially in a field like the John Deere. If you do get a little wayward, you're going to need to be able to scramble. You're going to need to be good around the greens. Sand shows up here. And then the proximity to pin that shows up the most is at 125 to 150, coming in around 25%. And then also what shows up is the guys that do well on the par 5s here, because I think all the rest of it's kind of vanilla. But if you can make your hay with eagles or birdies on these par 5s, that's typically what's going to get you up the leaderboard. And there's 3 of those at 550 to 600, so I put that in the model. And then, of course, as I mentioned, you got to make birdies here. All right, last thing I'll talk about that I also discussed was the comp courses. I use pretty much these same ones for the Travelers, very, very similar courses. Kind of a little bit of a plotter, strategic. You've got the bent greens. The Travelers, I believe, was a par 70. We are at a par 71, and also a little more yardage. And the Colonial fits that, right, for the Charles Schwab, where they played the Canadian Open this year at the St. George's. And also what I liked about these is it's recent. It's not going to pull a year or 2-year data in. We got that Wells Fargo at Avondale Farms. We got the RBC, which would be the one that would probably be the longest. That's right around the Masters, but not too old at Harbortown. And I think I plugged a couple other in that I thought, kind of crossed over, like a TPC Southwind, even though it's a Bermuda, but it is a plotter's course. Wailea is a plotter's course. And when I ran that against the past 24 rounds on these tracks, against the model that I created, you see up here, the number one, funny enough, came out was Hammer and Hank Laboda, and that makes a little bit of sense because he had last year a really nice run on some of these courses. Jason Day, who I used last week, or at least was one of my picks, and just did not work out, and I've stated 100 times over that me and Jason Day, when it comes to figuring out when he's going to do well, I think that's for everybody. Like I said, it's very unique when he spikes. This could be the week, but I don't think I'm going to take that risk this week. You got Shank, McNeely, Svensson, Gim, Chase Seifert, Ches Reavie, Lanto, Griffin, Simpson, Armour, Wes Bryant, Moore, Wallace, and Glovers, who flushed out. That's actually top 16 instead of 15. I threw Glover in there just so you could see that, hey, he does do well in these kind of tracks. Again, he's got to putt. All right, with that said, let's go jump over to Fantasy National. Let's go through some analysis so you can see who I'm going with. Also, it will show you other guys that you might want to see some of the data for, you might be interested in. Okay, so I've hopped over into fantasynational.com, and always my plug for them is putting any kind of money on golf. I highly recommend using this tool. You can do so many more things than I show you guys. Of course, I've got a video out there to help you navigate. I had one request, and I need to do it on how do you create a model within Sneak Peek. I will put that out today, actually. It will take 2 seconds. But with that said, we are looking at the DraftKings pricing. And again, don't be worried if you are a FanDuel or Yahoo or whatever you like to play your fantasy golf. Hey, you can still use these same guys, just the pricing is going to differ than what you see here. As recently, I've been pulling up the last 24 rounds because we got a lot of golf now. We were past the midway point quite a bit in the season. So I'm going to pull the last 24 rounds of golf. It's going to still keep pretty up to date what's been going on. I've got no filters. And then what we're looking at here is I always say it's kind of a dashboard. It's giving you a lot of information in one space to let you guys kind of consume why I'm going with where I'm going. You got the pricing, projected ownership as of Tuesday around 1 o'clock Eastern. You got their cuts made. You've got this mini model that I created with the top 5 things that I think is most important. And that's ball striking, approach, good drives, those par 5s. There's 3 of them. And then that proximity 125 to 150. And I've tuned up the weighting on good drives and approach to about 30%. All the rest fall somewhere around 15 to 17. Just to give you an idea on the weighting of this. And then I'm using the birdies gain because we're back to where we need guys to make birdies. And in this field, we're not going to have a ton of green. So, but the guys that are green, we're someone that's going to also kind of weigh us at this is, you're not going to see the putting on here. I'm not going to put that into the model. But when you see green, at least definitely towards the end, you know they're making putts if they're making birdies. And then you got recent results. So you got their past 5 tournaments they played in. How have they fared? And of course, tournament history. And we can use it here, and it is accurate. Sometimes we get a little glitch on this side, but I checked it out, and everything looks good. So we can reference the tournament history. So you've got kind of recent form view here, and then you've got, their history. And that's pretty much the 2 main things that we judge from a fantasy world on who we want to play. Okay, with all that said, you've got, we got here 4 guys at the 10,000 range, nobody at the 11,000 range, and of course we have some guys that withdrawn. So if I see them, I'll note that again because I don't think Fantasy National is updated. But you got to make a decision between Webb, Hadwin, Thigala, and Jason Day, which is crazy. I didn't even notice that Jason Day's pricing is at 10,000. So no issues that I'm fading him. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I won't put him in one lineup and he'll end up top 5. So I'm just going to make that whenever I don't play him, that's when he's going to do well. When I pick him, he's going to falter. So put that out there right now. You've got Thigala, of course, who's just, almost could have won the Travelers. I'm going to stay away from that. The reason being is I just think that it's a lot back to back. When you were in contention, that takes a bit out of you. Also, you can see, at least over this span of time, he's not really achieving in some of the areas that I want over a span of 6 tournaments. The ball striking is there on the approach, and we'll look at the putter. Let's go take a gander. This is probably my biggest concern. So with Thigala, what I've seen is when he gets wayward, it's hooks. He'll hook the ball off the tee. And he doesn't, the driving accuracy, I almost want all my guys at 60% or higher. I've talked about this before. You got to hit the fairway to have a good shot to at least have a chance to score on that hole. And I say that it's a birdie or better opportunity, not to make just a par. He's got the distance, but it's the accuracy that can cause him issues. And if we see here what's unique, why he was up here is that he gained over 4 strokes on the field with the putter. And you can see that is not typical for Thigala. The last time he did it, when he almost had a chance to win the Phoenix Open, that was back in February. So I doubt that putter will stay that hot. And with that, I am going to pass on Thigala. And then really for me, it was a decision between Webb Simpson and Adam Hadwin. And you guys have heard me say over and over that I think Webb is still not at Webb-esque where he needs to be. I don't know if it's still the injury or who knows. It's mostly the putter. But with that said, out of the 2 options, if I'm going to play a guy in the 10,000 range, I'm going to go with Webb. I'm not saying I'm not going to put in Adam Hadwin and swap them out. A lot of my builds are probably going to be pretty balanced around what I've noticed. I like the guys kind of in the 8,000 range, a couple in the 9, and some in the 7. And I'm going to try to stay, I'm going to give you guys my cheapy plays, but I'm going to try to stay whatever teams I put together above the 7,000 range. And we look at recent results, or tournament history, I wanted to say was, you can look, Webb's only played it once in 2010. He had a T21. And then you've got Hadwin, who played it a little while back. He had a T8 and T18. So from a tournament history, you can kind of flip a coin on that one. Let's go take a quick look at Webb. So, of course, doesn't hit it very far, but typically hits it accurate. Now, that has been a little bit of issue over the last few months. Let's go take a look at this. It's gotten a lot better. You can see here was what I'm talking about. So kind of the fall start off and then, not gaining a ton. And that's when you look off the tee, that's distance and hitting fairways. The putter is what has been more of a concern where Webb, usually you get him in that 20-foot range and he had a good chance of making it. If he was in 10 feet, it was almost guaranteed. But you can see the putter has not operated as well. He's had only, over the last 6 tournaments, only 2 tournaments that he's gained on the field. But that was bent. I'm hoping that the putter at least stays neutral or gains a little bit for Webb against the field. And I think he could be very effective. We'll also go look at Adam Hadwin. Of course, he had a good showing at the U.S. Open. I think he's going to be a little chalky because of that. Right now, you're seeing projected ownership around the same. I think it's entertaining to me that Thigala is at 13% right now, and we'll see how that all works out. I think it's a fade for me, but I'm also not a huge Sahith believer. I think there's certain times he's going to spike. I think he's got a ton of talent, but I don't think his game is at where I feel like every tournament he's going to be right there in contention. He's not that kind of talent yet. All right. Let's take a look at Adam Hadwin for you real fast. So Adam does the same thing. So you see, very accurate, not very long. So if you take off the tee, I'd say those two are very comparable. Typically gains on Ben. I think he's got, when I think of Hadwin, I think he's got a great around the green. Typically the putter, I feel like he's a better putter than what he's been doing here. But you can see, I don't know what he did at the U.S. Open. I'm guessing if you gain 11 strokes, you gain with the putter. But over the last 6 tournaments or so, there's only been one other, and that's Memorial, which I'm almost, it's bent greens. I always got to remember that. He tried to build the course like Augusta. Augusta's bent. So, yep. But yeah, I had a nice showing, if you want to say, I don't know, springtime from the Players Valspar, then kind of fell back a little bit here in this. And then, good showings again, the Memorial RBC. So I've got no issues with Adam Hadwin. I think I told you guys right now I'm looking at him from one and done. I think we'll talk about one and done, but Webb Simpson or Adam Hadwin is probably going to go. All right, so if you want to know who I'm playing at the 10,000 range is Webb, and it's not that I just feel super excited about that play. It's that I think he's got a chance to do, top 5. I'd be shocked, honestly, if he won this tournament. That's just my own thoughts. It's been a while since I've been a true Webb believer. I'd say it's been a couple of years, so we'll see. I think the win's going to come somewhere not at the top of this, so I'll put that out there. Denny McCarthy, I picked him last week, and I planned on picking him. I believe I did bet him. For whatever reason, everything I was looking at, I'm not super excited about playing Denny, not at this almost $10,000 price tag. So I'm going to pass on Denny. I mean, we'll go take a quick look because I want you to see, typically very accurate. Again, very similar, not very long. Of course, one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. And you're going to see that here. I mean, I think this is the best illustration of his world. Typically loses strokes off the tee and approach, but makes up for it with the putter and around the green. He's really been making up with it with the putter here. Gaining on average almost 5 strokes against the field. I don't know how long that can stay. You can see here when it dipped, the finishes weren't as great. I did mention I felt like he did start really working on his ball striking that's off the tee and approach. And he's kind of, with approach, had back and forth. So, you can see he lost 4 strokes with the irons at the Travelers, hence why he ended up, missing the cut, even though he putted that well. But around the green was also not good for him. So that's pretty interesting. Typically, if you're that bad with the irons, you're going to, as I mentioned before, you're typically going to gain strokes with around the green because you're missing greens and you're having more opportunities to chip it closer in. So, Matt McNeil, I think could be interesting, but he's just been in such a bad funk. And when I say interesting, if you look at Mav's history where he's typically done well, for whatever reason, on the more technical, shorter tracks like Pebble Beach, I think even Harbor Town, he's done well. Let's go click on him for you real quick. I'll do this for the top guys, and then we'll kind of start moving a little faster. You can see driving accuracy, it's over to 60%. He's got pop in the bat, gains on bent typically. That's not a putting issue. It's around the green, and I think more of the irons off the tee is where he's been struggling. Let's click on this. So the Fortinet, I think it's not a terrible. Used to be the old Safeway at Silverado Resort and Spa. It's kind of not too dissimilar of this course. It's kind of got the woods. It's got 4 par 5s though, so that's a little different. Oh, I kind of went out of that a little quick. Hold on a second here. Let's look at where he's had his best finishes. So there's Pebble Beach, AT&T Pro-Am I mentioned. I think that's really, he came on everybody's radar to get excited about. Of course, he's a West Coast kid. Seems like he does well on POA. But there's RBC again. There's Pebble Beach. So kind of back-to-back good finishes there. The Genesis, I think, is his best finish he's had this year, and that's POA. Also, again, in California. You got the Rocket, the Mayakoba, the Honda. But yeah, so again, for that price tag, it's kind of hard to swallow. And I believe that we can't get hung up on, hey, we got to use all our salary. This is a week that you're going to have $1,000 left over, or 500, and probably the optimal lineup. Not too much like the Travelers last week. I think there was still, you could have had $2,000 or $3,000 left over. You don't have to spend the whole budget to put a good team together in this field. So, like I said, you're going to see I'm going to skip down. The next guy I'm laying at is Charles Howell III. The old ATM is his nickname, right? I mean, every tournament he just cashes checks. It's pretty solid. It's been a long time PGA purist, as just pretty steady. You can see everything here is really good against the field. Ball striking number 2 in the field over the last 6 tournaments. Good drives. Not so great from the 125, but he is making some birdies. Pretty good recent form. He's got, T35 recently, an 18th, a 33rd. He does have a couple missed cuts, but he has a really nice tournament history here. And this is, of course, I think that, if you know Charles Howell's game, is a good fit for him. Not long, 300 yards. I mean, I guess not short, but not super long. Pretty accurate. Gains on bent, slightly. You see the putter is typically what will cause some issues. The irons, and he's kind of been on and off with the irons, which, if this stays at this trend, he should have a positive iron showing. And it's kind of crazy. Gained 5 strokes off the tee at the Traveler. So hopefully that stays. The putter, neutral, gain a stroke. I think he could be very effective here. And let's go see. So RSM, he's got a win at. Not a bad comparable. Funny enough, had a good showing at the Farmers. I don't think of Torrey Pines as the best fit. The Sony, that makes total sense. Wailea. The Sony again. The Sony loves himself. The Sony. Let's go see specifically the John Deere. So he's played it 7 times. Only had 1 missed cut. His first time ever playing it. It looks like. And let's do it this way by dates. Sorry. So 23rd last year, a 6th. We had a COVID break in 2020. A 19th, a 60th. Yeah. So his first time he played it was miscut. And he likes putting here. At least over the last 3 years, he's gained there. It's the irons. If he can get those irons around 2-3 strokes gaining on the field, he could definitely top 10, maybe win this thing. So I like Charles Howell. I know I picked Seabez last week. He let me down. And if you look at the kind of the flow of this, he's a T12 a cut, a T15 a cut. This course should fit him. I have no issues with playing Seabez. I'll probably sprinkle him in, and I don't know how much action I'm going to have from a DFS side. I think I told you guys I got quite a few bets out there. Kind of like this tournament from a betting perspective, but I'm gonna play some showdown. I'm gonna put together 10 to 15 teams in the big game to see how it all shakes out. So he'll get sprinkled, but for me, he's not going to make my top 15, but I have no issues with playing Seabez. Again, it's probably, and a lot of these guys, it's going to be hard to swallow. I do think there's some values, and that's what we need to find is the values where there is. Scott Stallings, funny enough, you can see the driver can be the issue. He had a great Sunday at the Travelers, shot him up the leaderboard. Good showing at the Schwab, and then you can see these missed cuts. Also, Stallings, I like him typically on big boy courses. So you can see he drives the ball, over 300, but his accuracy is a little off. I feel like he, you can see the irons. It's funny. It's been gain 4.5, lose 2.5, gain 8, lose 2, gain 7. And then the putter's been pretty solid except for the Memorial, where he lost across the board. I don't think his irons could stay at game 7 strokes. How many times has he done that? Let's just take a look. So the Valero, so he's done it. Let's count from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times he's gained that much with his irons. And a lot of it was the last with the Schwab. He had a really nice showing with the irons. So, yeah, I'm going to pass on Stallings. Again, no issues. Honestly, I kind of told you guys about this on the betting side, and I'll say it from the DFS side. If you got guys that you like to play, for whatever reason it is, I couldn't fault you for playing them here. I just feel like it's that kind of field that, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this all shakes out. Patrick Rogers, I believe, went to a playoff here. I think, 2017 a loss. That might be when DeChambeau won. Let's go take a look at that. I was trying it. That's a little while ago, but I believe that's correct. Yeah, they didn't go to a playoff. It looks like DeChambeau won by a stroke. There's Wes Bryant. I told you guys bet him 200-1. Where I was going with all that is, don't get that hung up that, oh, this is a Bombers course. You got to remember this is pre-Bryson, not, the Hulk. I like to pick things up and put them down, Bryson. It is when he was, very accurate off the tee, good with the irons, great, just a different game he played. So, but what I'll state out that whole thing is Patrick Rogers. You can see crazy projected ownership. You can see he's had a pretty good tournament history here, been running pretty good. But Patrick Rogers can miss a cut. You see that accuracy off the tee could get him. Got the pop. Does, his best putting surface is bent. You see around the green is typically where he struggles. And you can see, best showing was at the John Deere and RSM. Wells Fargo, that's Quail. The Travelers, it's been a while since he's had an upper finish. I mean, the Bermuda would be his less, best showing. You got Fortinet. So I don't think he can't do well here. Again, it's kind of hard to pay 8,800, but again, it's the field. I get it. I'm going to go to Nick Harding. I think his upside is huge. And you can see he's been making a ton of birdies over the last, that's 12 rounds. So that's the last 3 tournaments. The ball strikes, their approach maybe a little off. That 125, you could say, but I like this trend, 35th, 14th, 8th. He's actually played here, which I didn't even know that. I'm guessing as an AM. I don't know a whole lot about Nick Harding. I'll be dead honest with you. You see he's got a lot of pop off the bat, pretty accurate. Let me go take a look at this. That's what my understanding was, the Corn Ferries. So when he played the John Deere, maybe he's local and he got a sponsor exemption. I need to look into that because that's interesting that he does have history here. And it's not great, but you got to remember, he was, how old was he? He had to be like in 19, 18. I don't know. So with that said, I like him. You can see projected ownership is a bit high. But I'm going to play some Nick Harding. He's going to make my top 15. Adam Long, no issues. I like Adam Long. I think I picked him last week. I think he had a T25. So, it's Adam Long. I mean, the last time I think he was truly in contention, as I mentioned, I think it was Corrales or Bermuda, where he could have won. Let me go take a look at this. Yeah, Mayakoba, whatever. Like I said, the guy just something about, it's the field, but this is a light field too. I think I have no issues. I'm actually going to go back to Brendan Todd just because the whole 1 week early. And, if you look at Brendan Todd, he's had a T18 here, not last year, but when the previous time it was played. Other than that, it's been terrible. And then if you look at strokes gained over the last 5 years, he's last. So if you're going on course history, Brendan Todd's a disaster for this course. Yet projected ownership is showing craziness because, this course should fit him perfect. And he's also been in pretty good form, right? He had a chance to win the Schwabe. The guy, if you don't know much about Todd for some odd reason, I'm guessing if you're watching this from the John Deere, you know quite a bit about all these golfers. But, he's one of the most accurate on tour, but he's not long. Had a resurgence a couple of years ago. Almost won 3 tournaments back to back to back. That was kind of the vacation swing where he had that crazy run. And, is a good putter. Bent his best surface over his last 12 months. You could see, the putter came back. For a while, it kind of fell apart. And he didn't do so great last week because of the irons. And funny enough, I'm not worried about the gaining. He just needs to be kind of neutral. Let's go click on this. So, of course, he's won Mayakoba. There's what I'm talking about, Mayakoba, Bermuda. And then I'm trying to think what the next tournament was. He came like in second. Where is it? 2019. Wasn't the RSM? It doesn't matter. Maybe it was the RSM. No, it could have been the RSM. It doesn't matter. He had a chance and almost won 3 tournaments in a row. That would have been crazy. That was kind of his resurgence. There was a time with Brendan Todd, this is no joke, he had the driver yips. He could not hit the driver, could not hit the fairway. He went from a disaster off the tee to one of the most accurate. So whatever he changed, is amazing. That transformation he made and the way he went. All right, the guy that I'm going to go back to, Cam Davis, had a good week. Actually, a lot better than what this is showing. He fell apart on Sunday for sure. I don't know what he did on Saturday, but he was right up on the leaderboard Thursday, Friday. I told you guys, you look at the Schwab, RBC. He does well on shorter tracks, and he's also a really good ball striker. You can see his projected ownership is crazy high. So you're going to notice on my picks, I'll show when I go through it. I didn't do it the usual where, the most expensive guys. I'm actually doing it kind of blocks of ball strikers without putting. I think the first stint, and then like the more kind of plotter guys. So you'll see how this is going to kind of shake out for me and what I'm going with. But Cam Davis has been making a ton. Right, his only win was at the Rocket Mortgage. That was on Bent Greens. That was about a year ago today. Not saying that's a tiny course, but it's pretty. It's a very simple course. It's an old course that just runs back and forth. Like you've played that course. If you've ever golfed, you've played a very similar course. But there's the RBC, the Amex, the Schwab. I mean, Sanderson Farms. I think that's you got to be accurate, and it's a longer course, 7,400 yards. The Honda, there's the Sony, good fit, OHL. So there's some things there that, kind of make sense. Lucas Glover, which I was shocked that he actually came out number one with this model over the last 6 tournaments because you can see what he's been doing is actually been trending the wrong way. But that's just what this guy does. Because I don't have around the green and I don't have putting in here, but everything else, the guy just rocks it out. And you can see also he's not making putts, so he's not making birdies. Of course, a pretty good history here. He won last year, a T10 before that, a T25. I talked about what he did. I think it was in 2019 on hole number 10 where he had an albatross, which that's crazy, right? I mean, that's harder than typically making a hole in one. Then the next day he eagled the hole. So he likes this course. That's what I'm going with. I think he's gained putting. Let's go see this. If I remember correctly, he's gained with the putter. Well, nope, I take that back. So he gained last year 3 strokes, but he almost was neutral these 2 times. That had 10th and a 25th. And I didn't even know back here because that didn't show up. He had a 15th back in 2013. Again, never doing it really with the putter except last year. He made a ton of putts. Typically, it's the irons and off the tee. So we'll see. If you watched him at the Traveler, especially on Sunday morning, it was, I don't know how much he cared. He was the first guy off. I mentioned this. And I think he went out and had like a bogey and 2 doubles. He also made some birdies. But yeah, I'm just hoping good feeling. So I'm gonna go with some Glover. His ownership is less than 10 right now. We'll see how that all works out. Lanto, next guy I'm followed with. You can see projected ownership really high again. That probably will change where I end up on Lanto. Now, right now, he's going to my top 15. I'm not saying don't play him. I think I'll have enough differentiation. I just don't think Lanto is a must play here. I like what he can do. He can get super hot with the putter. Pretty good all around. But you can see his 2 missed cuts recently. Nothing exciting over the last 5 events. Only played here once, had a T6. So there's really nothing that's screaming you have to play Lanto. Okay accuracy, okay distance, over his career, does gain on bent usually. His win was at the Houston Open. That was at CCA Houston. But you can see there's some crossover. The Amex, I think, is not a bad fit. He had a nice run in those like no cut events, the 80 guys in at the Zozo and the CJ Cup. That's really where I think he kind of came on the scene. Greenbrier, not a bad comp course. I didn't plug that in because they haven't played there in the last couple of years. I think Joaquin Neiman was the last winner there, and that was it. Let's go see that. I'm just curious. Sometimes you learn something new. Yeah, so last time they played there was Joaquin Neiman won. Okay, CT Pan, no issues. I picked him last week. Of course, he missed the cut. I just had a terrible last week. I think a lot of people did, but wow, that was brutal. But I'm out. I don't know. I got other guys I want to play. Cameron Champ. I know this has been. I've been thinking about this. You can see he had a good showing here last year, and I just feel like Cameron Champ is going to get his 1 win every year. I've not bet him. I think he's like 40-1 now. Like his odds are not great, but this could be a Cameron Champ kind of win where it's just like a joke of a course, and not a joke of a course, but a joke of a field. And we go look at the 3M Open. Let's go take a look at that. So I just want to see who was in that field. So you had the South Africans trying to get in there. There's Hadwin. I mean, yeah, pretty much pretty similar to the kind of field we got working here. I mean, I could go down further. There might be somebody else that just didn't make the cut, but I mean it. But he came in and won that one. Let's go see when he won. The Fortinet, which would have been the Safeway. Same kind of field, Sanderson Farms. I mean, this is kind of his jam. There's CH3. So he had Justin Thomas. He had to beat here. Colin Morikawa to Shambles. So what was this after? This had to be, after COVID. So that makes sense. Anyways, so it's a pretty good field. I don't know. He has been averaging his 1 win a year, and this could be the spot. The putter, let's go take a look at that. The putter came back a little bit. I did pick him or bet on him a while ago because he had maybe it was here. The Mexico Open showed he actually gained. Look at that. Gained 7 strokes. Let's see where he typically has gains. So that's Bermuda. That's bent. I think that was Bermuda or Paspalum. Does it show up Paspalum? Which pretty similar. Hold on, let's go. Tournament of Champions. I think that's Paspalum too, right? That's Bermuda. There you go. Okay. RSM, that's Bermuda. POA, Bermuda. I think that's Bermuda too there, right? Yeah, TPC Southwind. Whatever. I was trying to see if there was any correlation on when he played. The Schwab, he gained 3 strokes. I honestly think with him, it's the putter. He makes a couple putts, and I think it's all just confidence. I don't think it's anything stroke or type of grass. JT posted, right? I picked him last week, 6,600, whatever he was. That was the best thing I actually did. Had that T2. Wish I would have used that. I mean, I actually didn't do bad. I used Harmon in one and done. It'd been awesome if I'd have put in Poston. But anyways, so he's had a couple miscuts here. I'm going to, like Thagawa, I'm not going to chase that chalk of, ooh, look, he had a T2. I'm not going to do it. Now, not that he can't do great here, but things can go wayward. Typically, if I remember right, the driver, he's been pretty solid. I mean, I wouldn't shoot a ton of holes in this. I didn't see anything that's crazy. The irons, if anything, would be the one. Yeah, I mean, you can see pretty decent over the last 10 tournaments. He's green across the board. So, I don't know. I felt like I kind of spiked. I just didn't put enough guys around him from a DFS side last week. I, of course, had a nice bet on him and didn't win. So yeah, that chalk, I'm going to pass on that, and no real strong reasoning other than gut feeling that, like Sahith, I don't think they can duplicate. Now, can they top 20? For sure. Are they going to top 5? I don't see that. And not that at 8,000 you need a top 5. Sahith, you need him a top 5 to pay off that kind of price tag. Kevin Streelman, no problems. I picked him for the Travelers. I told you guys, hey, play him over Steele because of the ownership. Right now it's saying 0, which I don't believe that, but right now is so. I didn't get it then, and I still don't get why people aren't playing. I know some of the ball striking has been a bit off, but he's had a 7th place here. You just had a 25th. This is a Streelman. It should be. I mean, let's go verify this. But he does. I mean, this is the one thing I know he does. Very accurate, not long. Where Brendan Steele, you're going to lose the accuracy, but you're going to gain the distance. Putter, he did gain a little bit, so that's typically where the issue is. Let's go take a look at the John Deere. So yeah, he's had an 8th, a 7th, some miscuts, a 40. I mean, it's kind of a smattering. Let's go do one more thing. I didn't pick Kevin Streelman. I'm not telling you have to play him. I'm saying I have no issues. And last week, Brendan Steele ended up 25th, and Streelman ended up 25th, and you would have saved, I think, a couple grand. And so that worked out. All right, so Travelers, yeah, and that was it too. Like the guys had one at the Traveler, had his good showings at the Traveler. So yeah, it was really weird. I didn't get the pricing for him versus Steele. There's a John Deere. I'm just trying to see where he's done some of his damage and more recent damage. Well, let's go do it this way because I can see. So he had a good showing of Valero, Valspar, the players. That was all good. He had a good showing at the Honda. The Wyndham. Just trying to see some of the courses. Yeah, he's kind of very hit or miss. I don't know. I kind of like him. If his ownership's at I will probably swap Lanto for some Streelman. No reason. I don't see a big difference in that, and you save a few bucks. But again, it's not like you need money. And again, that's why I don't see any reason why we're going to be going below 7,000, because it's not like you're paying up to like Stack, Simpson, and Hadwin and Thagala. Like, that makes no sense to me at all. All right. Anibal Lahiri, I don't know. It should make sense for him. He's played here twice, a cut and a T47. He's been in pretty bad form since the Wells Fargo, and then, of course, the Players, he showed up. But, yeah, I have no issues. The course should fit him. Let's go take a look at the old Thigala. Yeah, he doesn't drive along, but he's accurate. Bent, funny enough, is his best surface over his last 12 months. The putter's fallen apart, where he was pretty solid. He was putting pretty nicely. Let's see, where was this at? So, Wells Fargo. That is actually Bermuda. No, it's bent. Oh, that's right. Well, it wasn't at Quail. Okay. So the Wells Fargo was bent. That's past Palm. That is Bermuda. And that is Bermuda. I don't know. I was just trying to find some correlation where he was putting well at what surface. Funny enough, Jaha, I don't know. Yes, the Jaha. I don't know the last time I picked this guy, but right now he's on a heater. And we got to go with what, if there's a guy that for 7,800 that's playing good golf, we got to run with it. And so you can see he's making birdies. You can see what he's done over his last 3 tournaments. He's not he's played here before. He's the best as a T7, but, out of the last 4 out of 5, he's made the cut. 7,800, you can see ownership. He's going to be super chalk, and he could be the biggest chalk bomb probably of the week if I had to guess. But very accurate off tee, got a little bit of distance. Funny enough, for some odd reason, he plays very well in windy conditions. And I did see, I think the first day we're going to have a little wind. We'll talk weather tomorrow, but just side note, what kind of shocked me about Mr. Jaha is I kind of forgot that the guy literally had his card, won Mayakoba, and then lost it, and then had to earn it back. I don't know how many times. I think right here is where he got back. But he, like I say, he does have a pretty decent showing on these kind of tracks, the Amex, the RBC. This is a while ago, the Wyndham, the Schwab, where he has done well, are tracks like this, and he's in great form. So, yeah, I did not bet him. I think at one time you could get him like 60 or 70 to 1, like before Riley and Berger withdrew. I think now he's like 40 to 1 or something like that. I'm just like, no, I'm not going to bet that. I'm going to go back to the Svensson, the Canadian. Making tons of cuts. Best showing was a T21 at the RBC Canadian, but he had a good showing at the Travelers too. Played here once before, had a T18. Again, fits the model, or the guys that I'm picking with the awesome ball strikers typically struggle with the putter. And but you can see he's making some birdies. Let's go take a look at the Svensson. So pretty accurate, about 300 yards off the tee. Putter is the issue, but you can see over the last 5 tournaments he has been gaining. And typically what does very well is off the tee and the iron. So if he can, get that a little more, we could have something. That's his Corn Ferry wins. We're just seeing the Sony, right? I remember this, right? With the Henley Matsuyama. So while that's a good fit. The Honda, you got to play some golf to be good at the Honda. The 3M, that's not a bad comparable. Bent greens. There's the John Deere again. So yeah, there's no reason. I'm going to go back to Adam. You can see projected ownership, again, a little chalky. And it's so funny that Shank, I think I told you guys yesterday, like before I did anything, I knew that Shank would be a good fit here. And then I think even Pat Mayo jumped on this little bandwagon, and away his projected ownership went. So typically when that happens, I get a bit nervous. I mean, you can see tournament history. I'm sure it's got everybody salivating. He missed a cut at the Travelers, but pretty decent recent form. Shank had, just like Laboda, had this little streak. I believe it was past summer too, where he looked like he was going to break through for a win. Let me go see, where was that? Maybe it was here, around the same time, right? The John Deere, the Barbasol. I mean, these kind of easier events. Let's go click on this. So Shriners is a putting contest. The John Deere's are putting contest. Corrales, it's a bit of a putting contest. Valero, you got to be a little better ball striker. Same with Sanderson Farms. Got a couple Wells Fargos. You got the Amex, again, putting contest. So you got some of these alternative events. Shriners, for me, out of all, I don't know why, I think is one of the biggest putting contests out there. So You know, he's good ball striker, can get super hot with the putter. Um, yeah, why not? I will be playing some Shank. You see driving accuracy is a little bit not the greatest, but Bint's his best putting surface. Also, funny enough, can handle a little wind. The putter, funny enough, has been letting him down. The last good putting out he had was at the PGA. That was at Southern Hills. That was Bermuda. Funny enough, I thought that was bent, but that was Bermuda. The Wells Fargo, that was bent. All right. Anyways, so that honestly, I don't know how much Shank I'll play with. He's gonna have that kind. I mean, if Jaha and Shank blow up, that's gonna kill a ton of lineups. So I'll have some, but I'm gonna, again, if I put 15 lineups, I'm gonna sprinkle it around. Fratelli, your past champion a couple years ago here. No, thank you. Just I haven't seen anything. Funny enough, Fratelli shows up at the oddest times. Let's go take a look at this. I've in my head is the last two majors. The Open, we had a good show at the Valero. Then the Honda was okay. There's the Open. So kind of out of nowhere. Of course, Morikawa won that. And then he had that Fall Masters where it was where he kind of debuted his newfound length off the tee. And he had to show up at the Zozo. That's about it. I mean, the Houston Open, I guess, the Honda, the Valero. So you never know. He's gonna have to go super crazy with the putter, but I'm gonna say no, thank you there. Alex Smalley, actually, I don't think is a terrible play. I kind of looked at him a little bit, so it might be something you want to think about. Doug Gim, honestly, falls right in with my builds of great ball strikers, terrible around the green and putter. He did show up at the Canadian, of course, the Players. Um, he had a good showing here last year. I actually bet Doug Gim. I like him from a betting perspective because if he does peak, if he just has that weekend or week, because he's pretty accurate with, off the tee, got a little length, usually pretty decent with the irons. The putter, he has been a little bit, but, you can see it could be just horrific. The Players where he gained just a little bit, away he went. So if he can gain a couple strokes, the RBC, he had an 18th, gained a little bit. So I have no issues. Nick Taylor, this kind of fits what I think Nick Taylor could do well at, right? I mean, his win is at Pebble Beach, short track, small greens, outdueled Phil Mickelson, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Actually won Sanderson Farms too. I always forget that. It's a long time ago. Let's see what else here. Let's go do a full John Deere. So he made the cut 3 times, missed the cut 3 times. But he's made the cut the last 3 times he's played here. So that's good showing. No issues. I'm going to go to Griot. And I like that. I hope his ownership stays crazy low because, man, if he just takes what Lucas did here, like I said, I think they are identical in their skill sets. And you can see he did show life. Yeah, he missed a cut at the Travelers. Let's go see how he did that. I would guess it's the putter, but let's go take a gander. Like I said, got distance, pretty accurate off the tee. Usually a horrific puttering around the green. And yeah, he lost. Well, there you go. So if he loses with the irons, it's pretty much game over. That's crazy. Gain 5 off the tee, lose 4 with the irons. Give me the 2 and 2 and the 2. I'd be perfect. Let's go take a look. So he won his first tournament, if I remember correctly, off the Corn Ferry at the time. The RBC not too long ago. The 3M. The Schwabe. Let's go see where he's had some of his best putting outings. So that's Bent Greens. This PGA 2018. Oh, yeah, Bell Reeve. That's bent. Not too different. That's kind of funny. That'd be a pretty good comparable. Just, I don't remember the course that well, but par 70, 7,200 to 74. You can make a little case for that one. The Honda's Bermuda. The Shell, I think, was the Houston? Yeah. So that's Bermuda. Northern Trust, Memorial, that's bent. Bermuda. Let's go see this PGA. Balsas Roll, again, very similar. Tough track there, right? Par 70 over 7,400 yards, but that's bent. Okay, long story short, I'm going to go with some Griot. I like that ownership play. This could be a time he could strike. $7,500. I think it's worth it for me. I'm a Griot fan. I am. So we'll see. See if he can get it done. Party Marty, going back to him. I picked him last week. He did give me a T13, so I guess I didn't have all terrible picks, but decent history. Is the putter. I watched him, had a nice bet on him, and he just sucked butt with the putter. You can see it right here. But his tournament that he last won that I know was the Shriners, he went in Fuego with the putter. For him, gaining 3 strokes, that's in Fuego. And that's a putting contest, and he won a putting contest. So, again, this is pretty much the same thing. That was the last win he's had. So, I kind of like it. So, I'm going to run those 2 guys out there. Patty Gazar, I bet him just purely as a FOMO bet. That's it. I'm not going to really play him in DFS. Who knows? He could come out. I mean, he had a good showing here last year. This was that run that got me all excited, and I just started losing money left and right on him. Let's go take a gander here. So, I mean, his win is at, a good comp at the Sony. It's a while ago. He's good showing at the Schwab. This was that run. Byron Nelson, a third. It looked like it had to happen. He was putting crazy. Maybe believe that he was like the best putter ever. Then I come to find out he actually is not a good putter. He just had a crazy run. But if he does that again, watch out. Mark Hubbard, actually not a bad putter. He could be interesting. Not a lot of talk about the old Hubbard, even though projected ownership's up there. Hasn't really done anything lately that I've been excited about. He's a 1 round. It used to be, I play him in Showdown. What you see does typically gain on bent. Pretty accurate off the tee. Uses that really, really short putter. It's crazy. His last best showing was at the Houston Open, and then some almost top 10s. That's bent greens at the Rocket, Greenbrier. I mean, but you're kind of reaching now. Like I said, from a showdown perspective, he would have at one time it was like opening rounds and final rounds. He seemed to show up. So yeah, Steve Stricker, 3-time winner here, almost won the U.S. Senior Open. The guy just loves it here. You can see maybe not the greatest form recently, but at a T5 in 2017. I feel like for 7,400, we'll see how it all shakes out, but I'm going to go with him. You throw Zach Johnson right in that mix too, right? Just owns this course. But, Zach Johnson is a little bit off where he's at. David Lipsky, I bet him. A couple miscuts recently. Of course, had a good showing. So I think I always get this confused with him, but I think he was European and then went to the Corn Ferry and had a really nice showing at the Corn Ferry, right? Came out okay. Mexico Open, Corrales, the Amex. Then look at all these miscuts. Palmetto. So he actually would have jumped on the scene out of the Corn Ferry last year, it looks like. But yeah, I mean, I kind of just put him in a Doug Gim bucket. That's just my own brain. Great ball striker. I think the putter is typically what holds Lipsky back. Let's go confirm that. So, I mean, last couple, but I mean, it's kind of been on and off. Let's see. Around the green, irons him. So, just kind of, I don't know, blah. But could he have that spike week for sure? But you can see the model loves him. So I'll sprinkle him. I bet him. Andrew Putnam could be. No issues. Not going to do it. I mean, not from everything I'm seeing here. Everybody's kind of talking up this gutter up. I think he just came off the Corn Ferry graduate. Got a crazy. So I don't need the distance here, buddy. And I need the accuracy. So not exciting about that. Pretty limited that we've seen this guy. So, could it happen? Yeah, but no, I'm not on. I'd rather play Hank Lebioda or Duncan or, not Taylor. That's old data. Do not play Taylor Pendrith. We haven't seen him since the Players. Everybody got excited now. There's certain courses I would. Now, who knows? I mean, I shouldn't say don't play him. I'm not going to play him. I love his skill set. He's a bit of like a Wyndham Clark. If I remember correctly, he was very elite off the tee and good putter. Felt like the irons could be hit or miss. Yeah, so, well, I take that back. Maybe the putter was the issue. Neither here or there. I like him. Not this course. And I just want to see, do I have anybody else selected down here? I don't think so. Oh, yeah. Smotherman. Of course, I'm playing the Smotherman. He's going to be in my all-ball striking. Making a ton of birdies, pretty good form. 7,000. Sign me up. Never played here before, but hey, why not? I think I also bet him 130 to 1. I think he was falling in. Just scan up here. All this is kind of just whatever. Scotty Brown, I'm going to plug him in. He's had a pretty amazing history here. It fits. Let's see what he's done here real quick. Ba, 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 ba. So off the tee, and the irons have been struggling. His last good showing was the John Deere last year. So there you go. But hey, Brian Gay at the Bermuda. That's all I ever go back to. Brian Gay at the Bermuda. And if you know what I'm talking about, was Brian Gay, who I think is actually in this field. Let's go take a gander at that. I think he joined the senior tour, right? Brian Gay. Here we go. Let's go do a little Brian Gay show. So Brian Gay would fit this kind of mold. Very accurate, typically off the tee. Not going to gain distance, but typically, gets in the fairway. Pretty good putter, but usually Bermuda. And so it was, let's go look at that. 11. I think I went bad. Sorry, just a second. This is all going to be worth it. Okay. So what I'm talking about, Brian Gay at Bermuda. So look what Brian Gay was doing before he went to the Bermuda. Miscut, 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 miscut. I mean, just terrible. Then goes out and wins. We don't have all the data, but wins the Bermuda. And if we look at this guy in the Bermuda, he just loves it there. And I think he has even more history than that. So what I'm saying, when you ever want to think of horses for courses, that is, I think, the best I could ever show is Brian Gay. And hence, like a Moore. Also, who were we just talking about? I think Ches Reavie fits that bucket. Now I'm blanking on who I was even. Oh, Scott Brown. Just if we look at it, what he's done here, he likes it at the John Deere. So let's plug it in. A 7th, a 5th, a 22nd, a 16th, a 12th, a 4th. I mean, and then you'd be like, well, his recent form is trash. And I'm like, yeah, but look at Brian Gay. I mean, it happens. You put a guy on a course that he just loves, away he goes. I mean, look at that. The Genesis, funny enough, which I would never think Scotty Brown would be good at the Riviera. But there's, one of his best showings at the John Deere. His only win was in Puerto Rico a long time ago. Okay, anyways, that's enough. I think that's enough. Oh, of course, Michael Thompson. I bet him, but it's just not been good. Ryan Armour, I think fits perfect. So what I was getting to is I'll put the lineups together of the Scott Browns, Armours, Reeves, put the plotters all together, man. Why not? Let's throw. So his John Deere history has not been good. So I didn't know that. I'm not saying it can't be. It should be a good fit for him. He's been in pretty good recent form. He does what I want. So I have no issues. Again, it's golf. The Hoffman. I just wanted to see what he did here. The guy has just been so bad. I can't believe he has not went over to the Live Tour. Maybe they've not made him an offer, but he seems like such a Live Tour guy. On that note, why I just thought of that, I'm not going to do a long Live Tour, but you will probably see on DraftKings, you can play Live Tour Showdown for that Oregon event. It's at Pumpkin Ridge. I believe that's a par 70. I did look a little bit at it. And there's 2 courses there at Pumpkin Ridge. They're going to play the, I believe, this is a guess, the members only course, which I think is called Witch Hollow or something like that. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to do anything from that on analysis side, all that. I don't think I'll play anything on it. I'm just letting you know it's out there. And funny enough, I tweeted out, if you look at the top 6 guys out of that live field versus our top 6 for the John Deere, it's not good. If you put those top 6 against each other, maybe it depends on the course, but I think the PGA Tour would lose that. And where this was all going was I started thinking about how cool in the future, if this sticks around and this all keeps the way it is, that they almost did like some kind of Ryder Cup competition, taking the best 10 out of the PGA, the best out of the live, and doing some kind of match format. I mean, if we're going to have this nonsense going on, it will at least us do something for the fans and make it interesting, because now there's going to be a divide, right? You're going to be a PGA truther, or you're going to be a live, maybe, hey, I get the live and why not, and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I think it'd be a very interesting watch. But again, in the live tour, I don't at all think they're in it at all for the money. I don't have a clue except to show, hey, we could buy a sport. That's the only thing I could figure out. It's just back to that sports washing. Okay, off that tangent. You didn't come here to listen to that. I just wanted to give you. Oh, and lastly, Carlos Ortiz also announced yesterday that he is going to be playing in that Oregon event. So that was a new one that I didn't know as of yesterday. So No more Los Artis. I guess the tequila business was not paying enough. So, all right, let's go jump back, wrap this up, and get you guys out of here. Okay, to summarize my top 5 picks, my Fab Five. Now, typically, I mentioned to you guys, it's more. I try to do it as like more expensive. It's kind of all over the place. So, and I don't think it matters. A lot of these guys you can plug. There should be no issues of building with all these guys because I've used one guy to 10 grand, and then all the rest are pretty much lower. But I went with Simpson. I just felt like I had to plug one guy into top 10. I actually don't like, I'm not super excited about any of them. But out of them, it was between, as I mentioned, Hadwin and Simpson. Give me Webb. This could be a great breakout for Webb. I mean, I think for some of the guys that are a little more top of the field, hence like Rahm at the Mexico Open, I'm not saying it's that comparison, but Webb should be able to do very well here against this field. You got Jaha. I'm going to go with the Shank Master. I told you I'm all in from a betting side. Pretty excited about that. Now, this could totally blow up, but we'll see. Ches Reavie. Yep, that's right. Ches Reavie is up there in my top 5. And then Mr. CH3, the ATM. That's the guys that, I'm going to be building a lot of lineups with. And then kind of going into the middle, the on-deck 5. Now, this is what I kind of call my ball-striking no-putt team. You got the Glover, past winner. You got Griot, who I think they're identical on what they bring you to the table. You got Cam Davis, who, again, amazing ball striker, could struggle with the putter around the green. Past winner at the Rocket Mortgage, bent greens. You got Svensson, same thing. Awesome tee to green. If he putts, watch out. And then Smotherman. So out of the field that I could see, I think these are over the history. It's like a Griot, you're taking in more of a larger sample. But I think these guys are some of the best ball strikers we have in this field. Now, they're some of the worst putters also. But I want to put a team together like this. So that I'm going to go with the upside factor. If these guys actually putt, watch out. All right, then the unsung. This is, I don't know. I guess Marty Lara put in, still not the greatest putter, but been playing a good form. He's won a putting contest before, not too long ago at the Shriners, and has been in good recent form. It's just going to come down to the putter with him. Lanto, Lanto's just kind of that play for me. I mean, it's been a while since Lanto's been in contention. But out of this field, I feel like for the price, he's a pretty good play. Steve Stricker, I mean, won this thing 3 times, almost won just here recently, been having a good senior tour. I don't expect him to win, but for a 70, whatever he was, 7,300, whatever the price tag, I think he's a nice fill-in play. Nick Hardy, now this is kind of on the rookie side, big upside, been playing great golf, so I'm going to play some Nick Harding. And then, of course, the Todd father, Brennan Todd. Let me down with the Travelers. This should fit him well. Not a good course history. As I mentioned, his last time here, he had a T18. Other than that, missed cuts. So we'll see how that all fares out. But that's the guys that I'm looking at from a top 15 plays. And then, of course, tomorrow I'll give you my cheapies, which, again, I don't know how many of those we'll use. I'll probably do 7,200 and down and see who I come up with. Again, but I don't see where you're really going to need to get too crazy because there's not enough expensive guys that you need to play. All right, last thing, one and done. This is what you'll find interesting, I think. So this is looking over the last 5 years at this tournament. Of course, take out 2020 because they didn't play it. And who's gained the most strokes total. And you can see there's, it's not, typically you get like a guy in the 40s or 50s. So there's no one that's just like crushing it. But funny enough, Ryan Moore and Scott Brown, the guys that I talked to you about over the past 5 years, have gained the most strokes. You can see it, pretty good finishes. Both have a missed cut out of those 5 years. Zach Johnson just loves it here. Not the greatest or the last, but, good showings before that. Of course, Glover, past winner. Rogers had that second place. CH3, Chris Stroud, which I can't believe he's in the field. I haven't seen that guy. I thought he was like, I don't know. I don't know what this is. I got to figure that out because I thought he didn't have PGA status. So maybe he got an exemption, maybe medical. I don't know. Vaughn Taylor, of course, I told you to bet him. Shank, Stallings, Johnson Wagner, no thank you. Andrew Landry, no. And then, of course, Berger pulled out. And you got my buddy Patty Kazire, who I will have to play in DFS a little bit. I know I didn't pick him, but I'll put him in a team or two. And he'll let me down. But I did bet him because I had to. All right. From a one and done then, of course, I'm just click all these guys up. So I don't have a ton of guys here. It's, where you're at. If you are playing one and done, if you're taking a safe path, I guess, right now I think I got Hadwin or Simpson. And then if you want to get a little off the beaten path, Hush, Shank, and more. But I mean, really, you go with Nick Harding. I mean, of course, you can't even waste anybody good here. So, I mean, yeah, it's whoever. Either, like I said, if you want to take a safer play, of course, it'd be the guys at the top. And, I don't think you can go wrong with whoever you pick. What I mean by that is I think there's going to be such a wide variety of differentiation. And if somehow you hit on whoever you pick, you're going to move up the board. And like I said, I'm kind of figuring out right now what I'm trying to do. I don't honestly know right now. Hadwin's plugged in. I told you the one thing I do as soon as the field gets announced for the one and done that I'm in, I put them in immediately just in case I totally forget about it and I don't at least have a chance of missing out completely. So that's about the best advice I can give you from a one and done. Plug it in immediately once you get notified or once you think of it, and maybe don't get notified on yours. And that way there, you at least have a body in there. Okay, that's it. That's my pick show for the John Deere Classic, and I talked a little bit about one and done for you. As always, thank you for spending some time with me. If you do me the honor, click that like button, share it with anybody else that maybe you think would be finding this interesting. If you're not a subscriber and you've been watching me for a bit, or maybe this is the first time you check me out, I would really appreciate it if you would sign up and become a subscriber. And what I mean by that is just become a YouTube account. I talked about this before a long time ago. I remember I used to watch content and I wasn't even signed in as it having a YouTube account. And then you start to figure out like, oh, wow, okay, it means a lot to people that create this content that they need subscribers for so many reasons. So, hey, again, if you do, please subscribe. And last but not least, follow me on Twitter. I do keep an eye on everything we need to watch out for regarding DFS or if there's betting thing or whatever, some anecdotes or what's going on with Live. I tweet it out there. I'm not a huge tweeter, but I do put a bit of information out from time to time. All right, guys, I will come out tomorrow with ownership projections, weather. Let me think about it. I'll watch any pressers, but the pressers I saw, and I don't think we're going to glean anything from that. Yeah, if there's anything else that I see that I can get you guys before the lock, I'll have my before the lock show. It'll probably be pretty quick tomorrow, I'm guessing. All right, guys, take care and talk to you tomorrow.